Hello, welcome back to CryptoLiveLeak. My name is Patrick Conlon here at the BUIDLBoston Hackathon 2019. I am here with Adrian and Tim of AlgoMed. And Adrian, why don't you explain to me a little bit about what AlgoMed seeks to solve?
Sure. First off, we get to play with the Algorand network. And so that's only been around for a couple of weeks. And what we've decided to do is play around with their Multisig platform. And so what we've done is we created a way that a patient and a doctor can issue medicine and know that I'm getting the right medication to the patient. And so in the future, you know, you're going to have CRISPR and all these designer medications just for the patient. Now, the problem is if that my medication somehow gets switched along the way and gets ingested by someone else, and that potential cure could end up killing that person. So what we did is we created a protocol where instead of putting a QR code, you put an unsigned transaction. And so the way it works is that I visit you, the doctor, and you would issue me an electronic script, and you would sign that 3 of 3 multisig. You're the first transaction, you send it to the supplier, he signs it, puts the QR code, it has both the doctor and the supplier's signature there, and that can go on the post, that can go anywhere, that's totally public, and it is actually an unsigned transaction for me, and only me can actually verify it, and when I verify it, it completes the ring, so the third of the third transaction, and then that ends up, 1, verifying that it is true medication for me, and 2, it sends that money to the supplier. So we call it AlgoMed, and that's what we built today.
So Algorand is a new blockchain that's recently launched. Can you kind of explain a little bit why you chose to build on Algorand this weekend?
Awesome. Yeah, so I've done a lot of work playing with snarks on Ethereum. So snarks are a really good way to compress a whole bunch of data in a smart contract. And so I found out about it 3 days ago at Info Night. And a lot of the things that there are problems actually get solved with Algorand. So I got to speak to their founder, Sylvia, and very inspired by their work. So I'm very looking forward to seeing what they do next.
So I'm talking to you guys after the final pitches, before the judges have made their final decisions. Tim, how are you feeling about your pitch?
You know, I got to give credit where it's due. He's the one who presented, and he's the one who did a lot of the architectural decisions. I came up with the idea, and I got that from a previous hackathon at MIT Hack Medicine. One of the scientists, medical people there, requested that an application be made to do this custom type of tracking and authentication and what have you. So I took that idea and tried to get this implemented at this hackathon, but I was real lucky to get a good partner to help me with that. Yeah.
So just kind of building on this, we talked before we came on camera. You explained that it's different than just kind of like supply chain verification because of the multi-sig functions. Can you kind of go into that a little bit more?
Sure. Normally with a QR code, it's an arms race. Like people want to make a more and more complicated QR code. A QR code is really good for like a one-to-many. This is actually not a QR code. It's actually an unsigned transaction. And so it is unique per script. So every script is a newly generated multisig.
So obviously,
does that kind of explain?
Yes, it does. And obviously, the use case for this moving forward, we opened the interview discussing, you mentioned CRISPR and targeted gene therapy, and moving for the future. So how do you see AlgoMed or other ideas kind of building into the future as a legitimate use case, to help save lives?
Yeah, let Tim take that.
I'm very passionate about something called synthetic biology, which is where CRISPR really was created. It was not created in particular for a medical application. It was created to alter cells to do different kinds of things. So, in particular, insulin for example, all insulin in the entire world is now created by expressing the insulin, the human insulin gene in E. coli. And we saw literally a 10,000% reduction in cost for insulin as a result. So just a little background. It's synthetic biology that's really driving a lot of the innovation that's occurring in the medical field at this time, but I think it's going to occur in a lot of other fields. But to do synthetic biology, right, we're talking about specific DNA, specific genes, and all of this stuff can't be, messed up. It's like, it's one thing that has to occur at this particular time with these other things that are very specific, right? And to me, that screams blockchain, right? And just to get to your other question, you have to trust who is in charge of these different samples and these different genes and CRISPR, kinds of, in the future, I believe, CRISPR viruses. It's the most efficient way to alter cells, believe it or not. But you can't just hope they didn't mess it up, right? I don't want to be the guy that they mess it up on.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the guinea pig.
And I think the most interesting thing, because we have private keys in this world, when this package arrives on my door, I want to be able to use my mobile wallet and check, one, that it hasn't got mixed in the mail and it is what it says that it is. So I think it's very important, if it's the right solution or not. It's been really fun to think about these problems.
And thank you guys so much for your work and thinking about the future advents of medicine as we move forward. Just to kind of lighten it, how would you describe your overall experience here at the first annual BUIDLBoston Hackathon?
Yeah, I think it was awesome. I really liked the environment. I felt like it was all these little cubby holes everywhere where people were doing really beautiful work. Tim actually did some really cool work in sharing a lot of our code. So we were using Plunker to kind of, we had 3 or 4 other teams helping to share code. So I felt like it was a really different approach to doing hackathons, and it was really fun. So really good experience. Yeah, I think Tim would agree.
Yeah.
Hackathons that I've been to, some are extremely, nice and beautiful buildings, and believe it or not, this is definitely one of them. And we were sitting at the corner area that had beautiful big windows, and we were looking at some beautiful statues, and I just found it to be very inspiring in that way. And felt very lucky to be part of this particular hackathon at this space this year. Yeah.
I think we have to go. They're just announcing winners now. So
They are. So Adrian and Tim of AlgoMed, I would like to thank you guys so much for your time. Yeah. Best of luck in the judgeships. And this is Tim and Adrian for AlgoMed, multisig verification for targeted gene therapy medicine.